Hello there, a very good day to you wherever you're watching us from, and thank you so much for choosing to join us this morning. You're watching Smart 24 TV, and we do drive your business. My name is Anthony Sebale, and I am your host. You're now watching the #1 financial market show in East Africa, where we bring you the latest on global, regional, and domestic equities and what's happening in the financial market space. And remember also, this is the #1 business channel where we bring you business content 24 hours, 7 days a week. We hail from Plot 42, Nile Avenue, Kampala, the capital of Uganda. And of course, Smart 24 TV has dedicated time and of course the craft to business and growing the business sectors in Uganda, but also in East Africa. And we bring you some of the latest on the opportunities on the business scene here in East Africa, and give you of course what you need to know at the right time to make the right steps towards investment, towards business, and towards economic policy. My name is Anthony. And do remember to follow me on Twitter. Right now, I'm at Anthony Sebale. You can also follow Smart 24 TV at Smart 24 TV, and catch the show live every single day at exactly 10 a.m. And you can catch us live also on our YouTube live stream at Smart 24 TV Live. As well, you can get to our website www.smart24tv.com to find out more of that. Now, this show is proudly brought to you by Otex East Africa. And I just want to give you a humble reminder that with Otex, we are saying under the Zabo initiative, my money, my future. For a very long time in Uganda, investment in treasury bonds has been only accessible to the well-off, only to those who can afford their 100,000 minimum pay for every unit of a treasury bond here in Uganda. Well, Otex changed the game, and this time round, Otex is bringing the treasury bond market to your sitting room. Yes, and right now Otex is giving you a chance to invest with as little as 15,000 coming off your mobile money wallet and onto the Otex platform. All you need to do is to dial *292# to experience the magic. Otex East Africa is saying you can do something new just simply by dialing *292#. A very warm welcome once again, and let's kick off our show. We are starting off with the Ugandan market. Now, Uganda Securities Exchange trading day 4 yesterday was quite a mixture of reactions. You don't know what to say because there's the good and the bad and the worst that's happening currently on the Uganda Securities Exchange. At the end of Thursday's trades, we had 341,596 shares that were traded in total on the exchange, accruing a total value of 1.39 billion. That's exactly what I'm talking about here on the Uganda Securities Exchange. Probably the biggest turnover we've had this whole year, starting January this year, 2023. And experiencing it on the 2nd day of March yesterday was quite exciting. Now, this data shows a slight improvement in the volume at a 52% improvement and a 51% improvement. Well, yes, a trader may wonder why it's such a small improvement, despite the fact that this is a great disparity in terms of the figures we're used to on the exchange. I mean, we're used to sometimes 3 million, sometimes we can go as bad as 1 million or 2 million turnover. And on Thursday, we are counting 1.3 billion Ugandan shillings traded on the Uganda Securities Exchange. What does that mean? Definitely on Wednesday as well, the Uganda Securities Exchange experienced a great shift in volumes there due to Stanbic's huge volumes that were coming in early Wednesday morning. Well, the drive is still continuing and seems to be not coming to an end, with yesterday Stanbic Bank alone contributing at least 60 million shares on the trading for the Uganda Securities Exchange as per the Uganda Securities Exchange data. Now, the company appreciated in price to 23 shillings yesterday, and that was from 21 shillings. Now, at 23 shillings, it has been able to trade 60 million shares. We're talking about real value here for the shareholders. especially those of you who have already bought shares in Stanbic. I don't know if you see what I'm seeing, but I think this is quite a good signal as we wind up, especially the fiscal year, where we're going into a season of earnings, a season where most companies are going to release their financial reports as per the Uganda Securities Exchange listing rules, where you are mandated as a listed company to issue publicly through a national media house, through a newspaper, your financial statements for the previous year, at least within a month or so of release of that data there to the company. Now, the current market capitalization also of the Uganda Securities Exchange went up slightly to 20.8 trillion closing on Thursday. As per also the trading, we had 4 major listings participate in trades that ended disappointingly with 4 losers. That's why I said at the beginning of the show, it's quite a mixture of feelings. You don't know really how to feel, but I think the good feeling surpasses the bad. Yes, disappointingly, we didn't have any gainers on the market, meaning overall, no shareholder was added value to. But generally speaking, the activity was quite impressive. I don't know if this was a one-off trade of some single billionaire who decided to sell 60 million shares at a go, but it's pretty a good indicator of a good market performance ahead. According to the data, also Nation Media Group came out last with an end of day depreciation of at least 1%, and Equity Bank Limited lost at least 0.22%, down to 1,331 Ugandan shillings. Centum Investments lost 0.22%, down to 263.93 Ugandan shillings, and East African Breweries Limited lost at least 0.14%, down to 5,113.19 Ugandan shillings. Now, as per the trades on the local stocks, which mainly traded on the Uganda Securities Exchange, Stanbic as well, as I mentioned earlier, came out with the biggest volume of 60 million shares, but they were not the only ones that actually did participate in the trading. Uganda Clays, yes, Uganda Clays came in with a volume of 308,300 shares, and Wumeme recorded at least 21,688, and MTN recorded at least 1,612 shares on the Uganda Securities Exchange. And as far as the all-share index is concerned, which is the benchmark, remember the all-share index is an aggregate performance tracker. It tracks the aggregate performance of all the 18 stocks that are listed, the 8 domestically, rather cross listings, and the 10 domestic listings on the exchange. Now, this paired at least 1.29 points, meaning it lost at least 0.11% daily there for the benchmark index at a 1,206.8 points closure for the day. Now, currently on a 1-week performance basis, the all-share index has lost 0.68% and a 4-week loss of 0.54%, yet an overall year-to-date loss of at least 0.52% has been experienced on the exchange. Recent data on inflation shows that inflation has gone up a little bit in the current, at least as per reports from the Uganda Securities Exchange, or for the month of January. The consumer price index went up from 10.2% in December to 10.4% in the month of January closing. And as well, this was due to the core inflation. Remember, the core inflation rate indicates the inflation of all commodities except the more volatile commodities such as fuel, oil, and food. Rather, fuel, if you can generalize them, energy and food. Yeah, so besides those two commodities, all the other prices are catered for in the core inflation. Now, this core inflation increased from at least 8.4% last year to 9.2%, and this drove also the consumer price index upwards from 10.2% to 10.4%. It's not yet very clear. The data has not yet been released fully for the month of February, but we are hoping definitely things could get a little bit better. Remember, inflation affects how the stocks are performing, because inflation is directly related to how investors feel about utilizing their money, how investors feel about investing in particular fields or not investing in those particular fields. So this is very, very important for you as an investor to keep track of the inflation data, the jobs data, especially now in the US. It's something very, very critical to know the jobs data. Have there been more jobless claims, or has there been a higher employment rate? All those things do affect how investors actually view the stock market. But let's get to first slightly look back at Stanbic Bank Uganda, because it seems to be having an exciting journey at the moment. Now, Stanbic Bank Uganda, just to tell you a little bit about it, is a company that currently holds at least 1.18 trillion. We're talking about a stock trading at 23 shillings. I mean, 23 shillings per share, with a total value of 1.18 trillion. That means they have at least 51.2 billion shares floating on the Uganda Securities Exchange up for grab. Now, they had a volume of at least 60 shares of those 51.2 billion traded yesterday. But as if that is not enough, on Wednesday, on the 1st of March, the first day of March, they traded at least 39,777,700 shares on the Uganda Securities Exchange, and closed the day with a gain of 2 shillings up to 23 Ugandan shillings. Now, in terms of percentage, to put things in perspective a little bit, it means every shareholder at least added 9.52% on their value. That's close to 10%. And that means that if you had 100 million in Stanbic Bank out of the 1.18 trillion market capitalization, you should be 10 million richer right now. That's putting things in perspective. And that's why, my dear viewers and our dear listeners and people watching from all over the world, it's very, very important that you invest for longer term. Because there was a time when stocks at Stanbic seemed to be stagnant. Just like the way we can see, for example, MTN at the moment, very stagnant. But for people who keep investing, especially when they are going down, this is the time to invest. This is the time to buy more if you already have shares. Because when things get better, you're the people that actually get most of the value. So if you bought these shares at 21 shillings yesterday, rather on Monday, and you bought at 100 million shillings, you're definitely 10 million richer. That's almost at least 10 million. And okay, we can put it at 9 million because it's a 9.52 percentage increase. But which business gives you that? I mean, which business do you wake up in Uganda and go out and do and gives you 9% in a single day? But of course, this doesn't come as a one-off, you know. It comes as a result of patience, as a result of a well-calculated movement along your investment journey. Stanbic Bank, of course, is the #1 traded stock right now on the Uganda Securities Exchange amongst all the counters listed on the exchange. In the month, between the month of November 28th to the 2nd of March, the company has sold at least 165 million shares, making them have a total turnover of at least 3.76 billion Ugandan shillings over the period, with an average of at least 2.61 million shares traded per session. So you're assured you're going to find buyers. This is a stock that is on demand, and this is exactly, as an investor, what you should be looking out for. Not just the speculative gains, but is the stock consistent? Is there consistency in the performance? And I think Stanbic has given us that. They have been consistent. They have issued dividends, you know, to their shareholders. Last year they issued at least 100 billion after 2 years of lockdown where they were not allowed to issue dividends, and they still gave back 100 billion. That means the company actually does care and does actually know how valuable their shareholders are. In 1 week, of course, it's 9.52%. In 4 weeks as well, 9.52%. And in the last 3 months, 9.52%. That's the value gained so far on the Stanbic stock here at the Uganda Securities Exchange. Stanbic is not only the top mover in the last 3 months or quarter, it's also the best year-to-date performer at the moment with the 9.52% gain. So definitely I would advise today, before the day ends, it's the last day of the week, and we're starting a new month. You can buy shares at 25 shilling, 25,000. You can get at least 1,000 shares on Stanbic. And probably the next time you get your salary, you can think about another 10,000. Who knows, by the end of this year, you could have at least 500,000. We invest like that. It's not it's not a one stop, and you just have all these shares bought at once. You can keep buying a little bit and getting to save up for more later on in the future. Now, that's of course it from Stanbic Bank Uganda. Uganda Credit is also closed at 300,000 shares, like I said, maintaining their price at 15 shillings. And as well as Wumeme maintained their price at least 300 shillings, and MTN at 177 Ugandan shillings. Regarding the local company index, currently the local company index is calculating at least 274.82 points on their the benchmark index for all the domestic listings, currently looking at a 1 week gain of 0.57%. So generally speaking, the local stocks have performed better in the last 1 week, and in the 4 weeks they have at least gained 0.27% as well, and year to date at least 0.79%, which is a good picture for our local stocks here in Uganda, currently looking at the figures, especially from the domestic listings. That's it, my friend, from Uganda. Let's get to cross to Nairobi Securities Exchange and have a look as well at the Nairobi Securities Exchange, which is the biggest stock exchange here in East Africa. Remember, you get to trade as well all over East Africa if you are currently registered with the Uganda Securities Exchange, because they're partners in this thing. Now, the Nairobi Securities Exchange had at least 43 listings participate in the trades on Thursday. The day ended, and unfortunately with just 10 gainers and 22 losers at the bottom. Flame Tree Group Holdings gained most for the day at a 7.27% gain, up to at least 1.18 Kenyan shillings per share, and he was followed closely by East African Cables at a 4.6% gain, and the eGuards company at 4.55% gain. On the losing side, Ever Ready East Africa lost the biggest value at 4.55, rather at about 4.69% loss, and the Kenya Reinsurance Company lost 2.22%, as well as Nairobi Securities Exchange counting losses of at least 1.83%. Sasinity and Coffee also lost 1.72%. In as far as the volumes are concerned, Safaricom had the biggest share of at least 2.95 million shares that were recorded, which was the highest on the market, followed closely by KCB Group at 2.12 million shares, and Equity Group Holdings at 1.06 million, and Cooperative Bank of Kenya at least 462,800 shares. Regarding the benchmark performance of the all-share index, the index climbed at least 0.33 points, a 0.26% increase in value at a closing of at least 126.21 points there closing the day. The NSE20 and the NSE25 as well did participate in the trading, with the NSE20 losing at least 0.33% and the NSE25 gaining 0.1%. Definitely we are still following up with the integration of the capital markets in East Africa, where we can have a one stock exchange where we can find all our needs as investors and get to congregate there, and get to also remove the tariff and non-tariff barriers for investing abroad. I don't know why we should even call Kenya abroad. Kenya should be our neighbor. Kenya should be another district in East Africa, you know. So in terms of capital markets, or the capital markets of East Africa, we are looking for an integration that is still ongoing, with the African Development Bank spearheading this funding, and just a few final steps and we shall get there. Remember, it's very important for you as an investor to diversify in order to avert risk, because risk is everywhere in these markets. I'm telling you, you can invest all your money today and lose at least half of it before the end of the day in terms of value. So it's important you put diversification at the forefront as an investor. That's it from the East African market. You can follow more on our website at www.smart24tv for those of you online, and you can also get to check us out on Twitter at smart24tv for more. Let's get to now the Uganda, besides the Uganda Securities Exchange and the Nairobi Securities Exchange, the global market, and benchmarking, of course, with the US stock market. Now, stocks on Thursday were mixed early as investors digested more big tech earnings and continue to weigh the implications of the recent backup in the Treasury yields. Shortly after the opening bell on Thursday morning at Wall Street, the S&P 500 was down by 0.5%, and the Nasdaq Composite, that is a tech-heavy index of the United States, tracking stocks like Amazon, Facebook, Twitter, Tesla, and the like, dropped off at least 0.8%. Now, the Dow Jones, on the other hand, was just a little bit higher by about 0.2% on the other hand. Now, rates remained a key focus for investors, with the yield of the 10-year Treasury note standing at 4% after hitting this level on Wednesday in the first time. This is the first time since November. The rise in the yield has come as investors brace for a more aggressive action from the Federal Reserve in the coming months as inflation stays elevated and the economy remains quite strong. Now, when you look in the single stocks movements, the shares of Salesforce rose at least 16% at the market opening on Thursday as investors cheered the company's latest quarterly earnings, which saw the embattled Dow member double down on cost-cutting initiatives as shareholders also returned with better plans. And that's, of course, definitely what happens on the stock exchange when a company registers a profit. Definitely, there's a lot of attention to that company, and Salesforce definitely got the attention of the American investors. And also, we have the Dow Jones Industrial Average moving upwards very quickly due to the Salesforce. Now, the stock's opening gap higher was its largest since August 2020, according to data as well from Bloomberg. In an interview with one of the biggest US stock market channels, Brian Sozzi, late Wednesday, Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff said that in reference to the company's efficiency initiatives, we have hit the hyperspace button. That's according to the Salesforce CEO after that particular wonderful performance. That's it, my friend, from us today, and thank you so much for joining us today this morning and for watching Smart24 TV. I remind you to check out Altex East Africa, your #1 private stock exchange. They are regulated by the Capital Markets Authority of Uganda, and they are now bringing you treasury bonds to your convenient pace. You can simply dial *292# and following the prompts, you can register, you can learn more about the products, and you can be able to buy or sell treasury bonds, which is the most interesting thing you can do right now. That's why with Altex East Africa, we are saying you can do something new. And that's it, my friend. I'll catch you tomorrow, same time, same place. Remember, it's March and it's Women's Month. And we are wishing all the women a very happy Women's Day coming ahead next week. We're getting into the weekend and the markets will close today till Monday. So I'll catch you then, and keep investing, keep saving. See you later. Have a very, very wonderful day.